COVID-19 outbreak happened, we took it as an opportunity to raise awareness on waste management, because while executing the solutions is also important, we thought it is a time to educate people about positive sides, the solutions, the challenges, and how can they be addressed, and sharing success stories. So, sir, over the last 2 months, we have conducted a series of webinars where we have touched more than 5,000 people, and wherein we brought together public sector, private sector, people who are innovating, people who are generating awareness, NGOs, regulatory bodies like CPCB. So everyone joined in. Some good conversations and success stories were presented by municipal corporations, and then we thought that now it will be very, very important and meaningful to have a quick chat with you as well, because people were filling in feedbacks that we would love to hear from the mission director of Swachh Bharat mission himself. And I really appreciate and I thank you for agreeing to give us 30 minutes today, wherein we'll quickly want to go over and hear from you, your knowledge, your expertise, because we have seen how you are also on the ground in different cities, evaluating what's happening, giving recommendations. So while we were just speaking yesterday, it's no rocket science. It's all about bringing everything together. So very quickly, sir, we have more than 100 people tuned in already, so we'll not take time to start. And over the next 30 minutes, there'll be a few questions that I'll put across. And the first one to start with, will be on the your experience in the as a leader of Swachh Bharat mission overall. What do you think has the progress happened?
Yeah.
And then later on we'll get into the role of citizens, RWAs, ULBs, and all of that as well.
Yeah. Ashish, you have been doing marvelous work in raising the awareness about the Swachh Bharat mission, particularly on the solid waste management. You know that before 2014, we were not talking about the solid waste at all. This was the first time that the Prime Minister of a country talked on an important day like 15th August, where the foreign policy, economic policy are discussed. He discussed about the Clean India movement. You can't imagine that the country Prime Minister imagined, and then the journey started. The journey, we should understand where was at that time. At that time, only 18% of the solid waste was being processed. Only 18%. At that time, negligible, about 30% of the waste being collected from the homes. Segregation was not a talk of the day. And home composting, bulk composting, all these things were unheard. The total capacity of the processing as on that day was only 26,000 tons per day. And we have gone how much? Just imagine, from 18%, today the total processing is 65,000. The total waste processing capacity is 26,000, from 26,000 to about 108,000 tons per day, and about 34,000 tons per day are under construction. The total segregation is about called 70%. It is either on the source or at the later process stage. So about 98% waste is being collected from the homes as per the data given by the concerned states. So these are some data to substantiate what the figure has been done. Now see the results. Results is this, that everybody is talking for the solid waste management. You go to the any ULB office, you go to commissioner office, you go to chief minister office, you go to national prime minister office, everybody talks about the solid waste management. Earlier, so this is the label of the awareness. Now you should think that earlier we were not calling the Safai Karmchari to our office and garlanding him. Now this is a normal incident. Every ULB is doing. You have not heard that the informal worker has been called and said, yes, you are my partner. But now it is being done. I went to Manipur and I recall the day. Then I met with some informal workers and they told me, sir, यहीं से मुझे भगा दिया जाता था, हमें ऐसे भगाया जाता था जैसे हम अनटचेबल हम इस देश दुनिया के. आज इसी कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम में हम कुर्सी पर बैठे हैं, हमें खाना दिया जा रहा है. उनकी आंखों में उस दिन आंसू थे. सो आप रिकॉग्निशन इनफॉर्मल वर्कर्स की कितनी हुई है इससे अंदाज लगा सकते हैं. You go to many cities including Ambikapur where the ladies have taken this work happily. Their life have changed. They are running the rickshaw to collect the waste from home to home. Their husbands are not able to do. I have a story of so many families where their husbands are handicapped and not able to earn, and they are earning from this source of the income. There are the cases where even the graduates, ladies and gents are working, collecting the waste from, the position of the unemployment in India. And the big peoples are currently doing this business. They are collecting the business. And not only that, you see so many startups have come up. So many business entrepreneurship has been developed. And the story does not end here. Only when I joined this office, I went to first time IIT Guwahati. And the first question was asked to me, why you are making composting when it is being generating methane? I was not a chemist student, a science student. I did not know what is the methane or what is the thing. I asked him what we should do. We should do dump only. Even if it is a methane is generating, but it is more beneficial. I was not knowing what are the methane at that time. Then dumping, then I told that dumping would be much more dangerous. I told them, but today I can say now many cities are not composting. They are generating the biogas or bio-CNG and running the buses. The CND waste, which was not even talked on the day, I only 4 years before. Now the CND waste is being given a priority. And you know that many cities are trying that all the CND waste is utilized in the pavements of footpaths. So you can understand to what extent my sand of the rivers would be saved, to what extent the resources will be able to save. Now, you have known that now many cities are doing how composting from the flowers, and then preparations, the fragrance sticks. So many business are being developed. One city, even this cold cloths, which are Jain in Varanasi, where these old cloths, where we are manufacturing paper from these story. So there are countless story being developed. I can't count. I have developed a number of the books on this story, and work is ongoing on. But will not say the story ends here. We have given, we have run, we have crossed only 1 mile. We have to cross several miles before we reach. And one should understand that many countries of the world took 50 to 70 years to get this type of status. We have been able to get this status only in 5 years. Not a small step. Thanks.
Definitely, sir, and I completely agree. There are a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities that people have leveraged and started looking at waste not just as waste but as a resource, because it actually is a resource if managed correctly. And the most important step in ensuring maximum resource recovery is segregation at source. We have seen that while awareness has been on the rise, we've also seen that people have started segregating at source. While there were different kind of challenges, cultural challenges, educational challenges, uh, so but a lot of people across cities, again there are so many success stories like you said, where people have started segregating at source. But in some cases we have seen that either the segregation is not happening, or if the segregation happens, then during the collection the waste gets mixed up, which reminds us of the fact that there are two very important stakeholders in ensuring that this entire process of waste management is sustainable, and those two stakeholders are citizens and the ULBs, which is the urban local bodies. So, sir, in terms of waste segregation at source, what do you think is the biggest driver for people? Like we have seen different ways, different strategies that ULBs applied in different cities. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it did not. What do you think is the best strategy that you heard that worked, that they did this and people started segregating at source?
Only PPP. PPP means not public-private partnership. No. फर्स्ट प्रे। आप लोगों से बड़े अवेयरनेस कीजिए, उन्हें बताइए कि आपको कैसे अलग करना है ना। अगर वो उस तरह मान जाए, इस तरह प्रे करने से जब वो वेस्ट पिकर करता है और कहता है कि भाई मेरी रोटी इस तरह से निकल जाएगी, तो आधे लोग तो उसी तरह से मान जाते हैं। लेकिन कोई कहने वाला हो पहले कि कहे तो उनसे कि आप अलग करके मुझे दो। अगर कोई भी कहता नहीं है तो नहीं होगा। पहली बात, इतने सिटीजन्स खराब नहीं है जितने हम सिटीजन्स कहते हैं। अगर सिटीजन्स से कहा जाता है तो बहुत से लोग बात मान लेते हैं। पहली बात, अगर प्रे से बात नहीं मानती तो परसुएट, दूसरे तरीके होते हैं। वहां का कोई बड़ा ऑफिसर आता है, या कूड़ा लेने से मना कर दिया जाता है, या उससे उसको उसके कलर कोडिंग कर दी जाती है कि तेरा घर लाल, दूसरे का घर हरा, जहां से अलग होता है। तो बहुत से इंसेंटिवाइजेशन के तरीके होते हैं कि आप नहीं, उस तरह से हो जाता है। इससे करीब 10, 15, 20% लोग और आगे जाते हैं। फिर भी 15, 20%, 30% ऐसे लोग होते हैं जो इन दोनों तरीकों से नहीं मानते। तो फिर है पेनलाइज, चालान, और whatever penalty you. If the ULP persuade of the 3 actions, only then we can get success. If only penalize, then we will not success. Only persuasion, we will not success. Or only pray, तो रामचंद्र जी ने भी कहा था, बिने न मालक जल जड़ गए 3 दिन बीत, बोले राम सकोप तब भैवन हुए न प्रीत। तो तीनों तरीके जरूरत पड़ती है। पहले प्रे कर लीजिए, परसुएट कर लिएगा, और तीसरा तो करना दोनों को ही, यूएलबी को और उसको, और बीच का उनका दोनों का जोड़ने का माध्यम है वेस्ट पिकर। वेस्ट पिकर को इसे इम्प्लीमेंट करना। मैंने जहां पे भी देखा है, जहां यूएलबी ने ये डिसाइड कर लिया है, जिस तरह भी किया है, और जहां भी सफलता मिली है, चाहे आप तिरुपति चले जाएं, चाहे नवी मुंबई चले जाएं, चाहे सूरत चले जाएं, चाहे इंदौर चले जाएं, चाहे अंबिकापुर चले जाएं, या और कोई शहर चले जाएं, तीनों में सब जगह पर अगर सफलता मिली है तो उन्होंने इन्हीं तीनों तरीके के विभिन्न स्ट्रेटेजीज अपनाई है। बट रास्ता तीनों तरह से ही है, फर्स्ट प्रे, परसुएड एंड देन पेनलाइज। अगर तीनों तरीकों में से एक भी तरीका कमजोर होगा तब तक काम नहीं बनता। मैं एक एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, तो बहुत से सिटी थे, अहमदाबाद था, मुझे याद है, और बहुत से सिटी है जिन्होंने डिसाइड कर लिया कि कल से हमें करना है। फिर उन्होंने पूरी एक स्ट्रेटेजी बनाई, अवेयरनेस की, पूरी लोगों में प्रोग्राम किए। प्रोग्राम करने के बाद स्टिकर्स को अपना उन्होंने कहने चाहिए वेस्ट पिकर्स के साथ मीटिंग की, रेजिडेंट वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन के साथ मीटिंग की, और उसके बाद एक दिन से निश्चय कर लिया कि आज से हम कूड़ा नहीं उठाएंगे, और दूसरे दिन से कूड़ा अलग उड़ना चालू हो गया। तो मेरा आपसे कहना ये है कि तीनों तरीके अपनाने।
सर, जिस तरीके से आपने एक्सप्लेन किया, आई थिंक एनीवन हु इज लिसनिंग टू दिस विल नेवर फॉरगेट the 3 P's of driving waste segregation. This is I am also absorbing this really well, because जितने भी initiatives के बारे में हमने सुना है, whether it's on IEC या penalization, community leaders को engage करना, religious leaders को engage करना, अलग अलग चीजें देखी है हमने शहरों में. Like last year, we were doing a project in Saharanpur, और वहां पे हमारा मेन काम यही था, to drive segregation at source, ban single use plastic, and ये तीनों strategy apply करनी पड़ी, and that's the reason there is no single use plastic in that city as of today. I don't know what happened during the COVID pandemic, because I haven't been there, but until March, they were doing really, really well. And again, they did that because there was commitment from the ULB, and people were participating, and people were not just participating, they want, what I also believe, sir, a lot of times we say, think global, act local. In a waste management scenario, I think it's about align yourselves to the SWM rules, but be local in applying, because there could be a lot of local strategies that work based on the demographics of the city. जो वहाँ के लोकल लोग हैं, उन्हें नब्ज पता है कि यहाँ पे हम क्या चीजें करेंगे जो लोगों को पसंद है, या किस चीज से लोग डरते हैं, क्या चीज लोग पसंद करते हैं, and accordingly innovatively drive your IEC campaigns. For example, sir, एक छोटा सा example एक और, again same city सहारनपुर, अभी I'm quoting that a lot because that's a recent project. वहाँ पे Saharanpur is known as a city of crafting, wood crafting. So people are very much into design. They have a very artistic mindset. So there, when we collaborated with the commissioner, who's Shri Sanjay Singh ji, he said, let's do a Paint My City campaign, because that will be the best way to engage the youth. So while Paint My City happened in the Mahakumbh Mela as well, we are now seeing it across Delhi NCR, all the parts. But initially it was not very popular. But it is a great way to engage the youth of the city, because they want to see messages made by them for the citizens, and they flaunt it. They love it that they have been able to do something for their city at a level of a prominent wall. So every time they pass, they not only get reminded, but they show so many people, hey, when you go to that place, have a look at my work. And eventually it drives the message of whether it's segregation at source, 3 R's, reducing, recycling, composting at home. So I completely agree with you, sir. So the 3 P's will stay with us. Now, moving on quickly, to the next query that we have received very frequently. All the questions, sir, I'm posing are based on the feedback and what people have filled in who are listening to the webinar right now. So the question here is, sir, during the COVID-19 outbreak, and I know a notification also came out on March 26th from your office, which was very detailed out. And again, we don't need to mention, I think guidelines and notifications are always very timely, but implementation on the ground by the desired authorities takes a backseat at times. I remember there was a very important point there about the domestic hazardous waste, which is used masks, gloves, tissue papers. Jinka quantum has significantly increased since the lockdown began. And but in India has, I understand, a limited infrastructure to manage the biomedical or hazardous waste. That is a different question. The point is, when this quantum of waste has increased, it needs to be stored separately, collected separately, and then handed over for scientific disposal. But we saw so many people, firstly, not even are aware about that what they need to do with use masks, gloves, and all the other safety gear. Secondly, if they are doing their bit, but there is no proper separate collection happening. While I understand that in a regular scenario, the percentage of biomedical or hazardous waste in our country is very minimal. But during this time, when this percentage has increased and will now continue to increase, I personally think, yes, one of the things is that people need to reduce. The most important R in the 3R is reduce. We need to reduce the waste as much as possible as well, which means that you don't need single-use masks, you don't need single-use gloves. You can go for reusable options, and good marketing was done by Ministry of Health for people to make their cloth masks at home, wash it, disinfect it, and wear it again and again. But what do you think, sir, is the right way of motivating people or making people aware, and then ensuring that this increased quantum of waste does not create any problem in our entire waste management process, leading to issues like contamination of the municipal solid waste because of the possible contaminated domestic hazardous waste.
First thing, as you already told, we have issued the detailed guidelines on the subject, and we are very clear of the opinion. There are two issues in the COVID-19 wastage. One, as you have told, masks or gloves which are used by the persons, and we have told that they are to be treated as a domestic hazardous waste and may be given after wrapping to the person who is collecting separately, which can be taken as per rules. But unfortunately in India, hazardous waste has not been taken care of till date. And that's why this word, the hazardous, even you are well aware, this sanitary napkins and all these things are also not taken care of, and they are mixed with the other dry waste or wet waste, whatever the things are there. But our rules is very clear that not only rules, we have issued the guidelines, and many cities, I will say many cities have followed those guidelines and treated those guidelines as a hazardous waste. The second issue which is important for me is not only that part. My important issue was also that waste from the quarantine house. If a waste house has been declared as a quarantine, then all the waste from that house becomes hazardous and a biomedical waste, because you can't say which waste has been, food has been taken by the patient, which patient has been taken by other, which close, suspected close contacts, and even if they are not proved to be COVID-19 patient, they are probable cases. So we have told that this all the waste from such houses, because the patient is being kept there, should be taken as a biomedical waste. And it is just the house is nothing as a ward. It is a single unit ward, and the patient a quarantine center, it is a multi-unit ward. That's the only difference. But it is the ward, and all the waste should be treated as a contaminated and should be dealt with accordingly. If you have the incinerators, if you have the facilities, go for that facility. If you don't have, then we have also to go for the burial procedures. That part is there. Many cities have followed, and we are very clear of the opinion that the life, nothing can be important than the life. So all the cities have to follow those guidelines, and they are supposed, but there are certain differences. Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change have issued a different guideline, so there is some confusion, but maximum number of the cities are following Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs guidelines. Whether you take the Indore, whether you take the Ahmedabad, whether you take or other cities, they are taking the same guidelines and treating the waste from the quarantine house as a biomedical waste, because that is much more important, and making awareness about the gloves and the masks. It is not very popular at the moment. I should admit that part is still not popular, but I will say, even if we are able to concentrate on the quarantine houses waste, we can save a lot of sanitary workers to that extent.
Definitely, sir. And I think for quarantine homes, it is, they don't have any option than to go for the single-use PPEs, gloves, or masks. And but for common public, which is just following the lockdown protocols, or staying at home, or following the business as usual, they don't need to go for single-use material, because then they're overall creating undesired load on our waste management infrastructure, which is limited in terms of biomedical waste as of today, which we understand. And even if it was not limited, I think we always advocate and educate people to reduce the amount of waste being produced. Now, sir, and I think you would agree, India has a great history of not being creating a lot of waste. Most of the waste that we even create as of today is the wet waste or the organic waste. When this is compared to the global numbers, and even if I look, I was just reading a study earlier this week from Bloomberg Green, wherein they calculated the per capita waste generation in every country, and I was surprised Singapore was the highest. And in the top 20, India was not even featuring in the list. So people messaged me and said, "Hey, why India is not on the list? Did they miss India?" Like, they didn't miss India. India's per capita generation of waste is one of the lowest in the world still, because we have very recently transitioned to that economy of consuming a lot of single use items, because, and which is good. So I think that's why I tell people a lot of times that the solution to a lot of problems does not lie in the west, but it lies in your past. So even if we can remind ourselves of a lot of activities, composting at home used to be something that a lot of us have seen our parents, grandparents following. There used to be a garden at home which was maintained, and compost used to be a natural addition, and which used to be generated at home. So I think it's just that with rapid urbanization, a lot of things were forgotten. But good that that reminder is coming in at the right time. Like you said, people are also creating entrepreneurial opportunities, and we have seen again success stories. I've seen so many biomethanation plants in states like Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, and they have created a good economy because they are able to create valuable products. So while they create compost, they also create biogas, or at times they convert biogas to electricity. In a case I saw, they converted it into electricity and giving it back to the grid, like they did in case of solar panels. So innovations will continue to happen. India is known for innovations, but I think it's all about igniting that change, which has already been ignited. And like we were discussing yesterday, I think we are right now in phase one. This 1.0, if can be successful, the 1.0 of waste management, there is so much to do in 2.0 and the versions ahead, but we have to get our basics right. I think 1.0 is very important that ways, and in the years to come, there is so much hope. And the fact of the matter, this gets proven, is that so many people, both private sector, NGOs, individuals, entrepreneurs, are getting into this field. You see new ventures coming up because they are realizing the potential of looking at waste like a resource. And for that, everyone's ask is one: waste segregation at source, because none of those businesses will thrive if segregation does not happen at source. With that, sir, I'll take up a concluding couple of questions because we are already past 30 minutes. Um, and and this is something that we have discussed in the past as well, and very interesting question. So, sir, what happens we have seen in cities is, and I'm talking about urban India, wherein we have these high rise societies, gated societies, RWAs. They are ideally a bulk generator, and even I think as per the definition of the rules, they will be considered as a bulk generator because they're generating more than 100 kgs a day as a unit, as a complex. Now we have seen in majority of the cases that waste is being handed over to the ULB, the contractor that ULB has hired. So first difficult thing to understand is, why is ULB, instead of penalizing the bulk generator, which is a high rise society or a mall or a complex, anyone, they are ending up collecting it. They collect this waste, and then the contractor does what he needs to do with that. The point is, they need to deploy decentralized solutions, and I think, and I would love to hear your thoughts, that that cannot happen without two things. One is making the residents aware, obviously, the RWA, the Resident Welfare Association or Apartment Owners Association, and the ULB. The ULB has to maybe first give just a notification, like you said, inform them, pray, pursue, but then eventually, if the penalization does not happen, we have been hearing about it. I right now I am here in Noida, and here we see that the talks have been on for years, but the solution is not happening because eventually the problem is not falling on their face. They are giving away the day they stop collecting the wet waste. I think the sense of urgency to deploy these decentralized solutions will go to the next level. So would love to hear your thoughts on that briefly, sir.
First, I completely agree that all these high-rise buildings are the bulk generators and they should do. But I will not say that all the cities are not doing. You may not be maybe knowing the Mumbai banned the people that they will not collect the waste from the societies, multi-rise society, and on that day, other day, the multi-rise society started to process their waste in their whole society itself. So the solution is rising that yes, they have to do processing this. Go to Navi Mumbai, I have not find even a single society where waste plant is not established in the Navi Mumbai. They don't collect the waste from a Navi Mumbai. You go to Bangalore also. Bangalore also there are so many societies where this waste is not being collected. In government colony in Delhi also, we have started that the waste is collected and processed in the same society, wet waste, and the dry waste is bifurcated and given to the other persons. So process is started in many society. Yes, it has to be catch up, and it has not been catch up as it should have been. But once the process light of ray is there and everybody is trying, there are certain ULB which have got a first runner-up, first got a success. There are second runner-up, and we feel that in the time to come, all these ULB will be able to impose on the bulk generators that they should manage their waste either themselves or through private persons employed on commercial terms. I have really said those because we will not touch. Either you touch, you manage, or some other entrepreneur manage on your behalf. We will not touch. So this is our conditions, and this is the our one of the criteria in Swachh Sarvekhan in garbage free city certification, that all the bulk waste generators should process their waste themselves or through their commercial persons. For example, Bangalore has also put up a portal which are the processors which can pick up your waste. So society can choose any one of them and can get the waste processed.
Yes, sir. I'm aware. They have empaneled a few companies who deal in decentralized solutions. And one very important thing, you highlighted this point of how the parameters of Swachh Sarvekhan or garbage-free cities ratings, they include these things, and I think that's what pushes the ULBs, that motivates the ULBs, because everyone is wanting to perform and get a good rating. And I just noticed, I think just within 1 month ago, when Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji and you launched the GFC rating, and when we saw the cities that got 5 rating, it was, it felt obvious that yes, these evident hai in cities में कि यहाँ काम हुआ है, यहाँ आपको कूड़े के ढेर नहीं मिलेंगे, and here people are ensuring that they are managing their waste themselves, they are taking responsibility of it. Then I looked at the ratings at 1. I scrolled down the list and I saw who are the cities in 1, and that was also very obvious because these are the same cities who have not taken steps. So I think that the efforts taken or adherence to the solid waste management rules or the guidelines of Swachh Bharat mission directly proportional to any of these evaluations or surveys that Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs conducts. So I think, but that also brings me to an important question, sir. And this is an observation more from a neutral NGO standpoint. We have seen that when the Swachh Sarvekhan is about to happen, so I know it's a quarterly exercise now, and then the annual rating comes up. A lot of work starts happening, things get expedited. You start seeing cleaner toilets, no piles of waste. There's a lot of critical behavior from ULBs that they handle requests very quickly, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's in the helpline. When they move away from that evaluation period, and again, that's not talking specifically about a ULB. This is a generic observation. Do you think, and this is also idea coming from a lot of people and from me as well personally, sir, that should there be neutral bodies reporting directly into SBM or Ministry of Housing, which gives constant feedback and neutral feedback without influenced by anyone in the process, and that's why I'm saying reports directly to your department, and this way an honest picture comes out. And yes, those notifications are going out regularly to fix those things from you to the ULBs, instead of just the Swachh Survekshan happens and then they try to get their acts in order.
Very good suggestion, but I will say two things. फर्स्ट थिंग कि आप जो कह रहे हैं लास्ट में होता है, आपने कौन सी क्लास पढ़ी है, 10th 12th ग्रेजुएशन, व्हाटएवर द एग्जामिनेशन यू हैव पास्ड, आप अपने दिल से बताएं। आपने नहीं, जब एनुअल एग्जाम हुआ होगा तभी पढ़ाई करने चाहता स्टूडेंट की होगी, साल भर कोई बहुत कम लोग पढ़ पाते हैं, है ना, क्वार्टरली नहीं पढ़ पाते। एग्जाम के से पहले 6 महीने 2 महीने 1 महीने पहले जितनी पढ़ाई आप 24 घंटे करते हैं उतनी पूरे साल भर नहीं करते। तो ये बिल्कुल कंप्लीटली प्रोसेस है कि वो उसी तरह से करते हैं और उसमें मार्क्स लाने के लिए काम करते हैं, लेकिन हमने उसको जैसे आपको मालूम है, पहले जब मैं छोटा था तब एनुअल एग्जाम होते थे, लेकिन जब मैं 8th 9th में आया तब यानी सरकार ने क्वार्टरली एग्जाम मंथली टेस्ट करने की फैसला किया। हमने भी पिछले साल से क्वार्टरली टेस्ट करने की रैंकिंग की बात करी और उसमें यानी लोगों को नंबर्स देने की बात की। तो एक तो हमने ये चेंज किया कि कंटिन्यूअस काम हो। दूसरी बात, सिटीजन का इन्वॉल्वमेंट करने के लिए उस क्वार्टरली में स्वच्छता ऐप पर जितनी आपकी शिकायतें हैं वो लगातार उनके स्टैंडर्ड्स आपने एसएलसी में किस नंबर में किस में कहाँ किए, उस सबको हमने कंसीडर किया। तीसरा, हमने अभी एक और साइट डोप करने जा रहे हैं जिसमें भी डंपिंग ग्राउंड है, उनकी फोटो अगर 4 आदमी डाल देते हैं और वो नहीं होता तो उसको हम डंपिंग ग्राउंड मान लेंगे। आप सिटी कहे या ना कहे, हम उसे डंपिंग ग्राउंड मानेंगे, फिर वो कितने दूर में हुआ। इस तरह का एक सिस्टम लाने की कोशिश करें ताकि हम उसकी शिकायतें ले सकें। ऐसे ही हमने स्वच्छता ऐप पर या गूगल मैप पर आपने सारी पब्लिक टॉयलेट्स डाली और उन पे सिटीजन से कहा कि गूगल ने हमें सहायता की कि आप उनकी रेटिंग करें, वो टॉयलेट गंदी थी, बढ़िया थी और कैसी थी। हमने एक और भी ये काम किया कि सारी टॉयलेट की रेटिंग करवाई कि वो ODF उसमें 1 स्टार है, 2 स्टार है, 3 स्टार है, उसका क्लीन, वेरी गुड, और उस हिसाब से वो टॉयलेट्स इतनी साफ हुई शहरों में, जिन टॉयलेट को कभी किसी ने देखा तक नहीं था, आज वो टॉयलेट चमकने लगी। उनके बारे में आज ही मुझे इनक्रेडिबल इंडिया की तरफ से कहा गया कि उन टॉयलेट की लोकेशन हमारे वेब पे भी डलवा दें, इतना मतलब उसकी वैल्यू बढ़ रही है। सो हम अब एक स्वच्छ नगर ऐप लेकर आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं जिसमें सारे के सारे कलेक्शन और प्रोसेसिंग और ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हमारे पास रिकॉर्ड हो। पूरे जितनी क्वार्टरली टेस्ट हैं उनमें भी हम सारे सिटीजन से क्वेश्चंस पूछते हैं कि आपके वार्ड में हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा, या जो उसने क्लेम किया वो वास्तव में वो सिटीजन से नहीं हुआ। तो इस समय इतने वो जो पार्टीज हैं, चाहे वो ODF के लिए हो या गार्बेज फ्री के लिए हो या सर्वेक्षण के लिए हो, वो भी बिल्कुल इंडिपेंडेंट होती हैं। हमारा उनके ऊपर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं होता, वो इंडिपेंडेंट तरीके से काम करते हैं। पैसा जरूर हम देते हैं लेकिन करती वो अपनी इंडिपेंडेंट तरीके से। सो आप ऑलरेडी सिटीजन्स का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, इंडिपेंडेंट पार्टी का इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, और हमारा कोई डायरेक्ट अभी हम समझते हैं कि ये इतने ऑलरेडी चेक एंड बैलेंस से सिटीजन के ऊपर आ चुके हैं। इसी कारण अब हर सिटी बिना काम किए हुए रैंकिंग नहीं पा सकता। ये आपने देख लिया। आप ये भी कह रहे हैं कि आपने उन चीज को, जो सर्टिफिकेशन की जो रैंकिंग आई है, आपने देखी और आपने महसूस किया कि ये जो सिटी अगर 5 स्टार है तो वास्तव में वो 5 स्टार के लायक थे, जो 3 स्टार है वो वास्तव में 3 स्टार के लायक थे। तो ग्राउंड और सर्टिफिकेशन दोनों मैच करने लगा है, ये ग्राउंड और सर्टिफिकेशन मैच करने लगा है। तो मुझे लगता है कि हम और ऐसे कुछ प्रयत्न करेंगे जिससे सिटीजन को और सिटी को फाइनेंशियल एड जो मिलती है वो उस रैंकिंग पर आधारित होगी। ये कुछ नए प्रोविजंस आने वाले हैं, उससे साइड इसका सिटीजन्स और उस वो जो यूएलबी है उस पे काम करने के लिए इंसेंटिवाइज।
That's a very good idea, sir. In fact, just a few days ago we were discussing कि ये जो रेटिंग आती है, अगर इसका डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट in form of some penalty या incentivization, we always say carrot or stick होगा, तो everyone's job will become easier. Cities would want to have more budgets on their side, which they can utilize for the upliftment of the infrastructure. So I think that those are some really good ideas. Some of these initiatives that you just mentioned, they're enlightening for me as well as our organization and all the 200 plus people who are watching it right now. So thank you for sharing that. And I think the way, so again, awareness on Swachhata app also has increased a lot. But I believe, the general public needs constant reminders. We see that, the social media of Swachh Bharat Mission also continues to talk about it. I also know that the Swachhata app was enhanced and some enhancements were made specifically for COVID. And then because I'm a big fan of it, of that app, because it gives the power, the power in the hands of the citizens, and that's how it should always be for essential services, because no one gives feedback better than them. So that's a great initiative, sir, and I'm really looking forward to the Swachh Nagar app as well, because I think if all that data becomes visible at the ministry level, then things will people and authorities will become more accountable and transparent in what they are trying to achieve. One, I think, sir, one final question that we can take, because it's we're already beyond time. I firstly, again, thank you so much for giving us this valuable time, because hearing it from you directly gives so much clarity. Maybe we have not been able to take all the questions, but it has initiated a good thought process among a lot of us. We have a mix of entrepreneurs, like you said, a lot of private limiteds, NGOs, students, who people from IIT, CSIR, NEERI, everyone who's wanting to learn and stay updated. While we continue to take a lot of efforts on our side with Green Dream Foundation and Smart Cities India Expo. I know when we met last year at the Expo during a panel discussion, your entire focus was always on waste segregation and being able to drive that. So during that 1 year, we did a lot of work, achieved some success stories, and a lot of people ask us what keeps you motivated, because when you're working in the waste management sector or anything to do with environment, it's easy to get bogged down, but it's also very, very easy to stay motivated by achieving results. So these, this data around us, which creates a lot of positivity and a lot of innovation happening. So many private players entering the market, which solves the problem of funds. So many educated people entering the market, which solves the problem of taking irrational decisions. So all of that is getting addressed, and with the government's focus, I think there's always going to be just an upside to it. Waste management as a sector in any scenario is going to be on the upside, on all the factors of the triple bottom line, whether it's social development, whether economic development or environmental upgradation. All of them will be driven if waste management is taken seriously in our country. So, sir, with that, I would request you to just give a concluding remark on what do you think, all these people who have joined in, what are those 2 things or 3 things that they can do at their level to bring the change as the citizens of the country, or even if they are technology makers, solution makers, private limiteds. What are those 2 or 3 basic things that are the way forward from, let's say, next 12 months standpoint, because you have the complete vision, and if these guys are getting on the same path of that vision, I think everyone's job will become very easy.
I am very clear. All things are possible, as you have already told. Only the 3 principles of segregation, segregation, segregation. There is no other principle, and that can be done either at the home. You can process that waste at the other side. You can bring, then MRF you can establish, a automated MRF can be established to bring a resource recovery. You can bring a number of waste to fuel, biomethanization, composting, waste to energy, or flower, or you can establish decentralized composting or decentralized biomethodization, anything you can establish. But then you have to ensure that your citizens, your friends, from the sources, wherever you are receiving the waste, is segregated. And for that purpose, you have to put a value on that part. Having said that, so all our directions should be held only to that extent. Second, we should understand also that that it is, if you, even if you are throwing, it is our money we are throwing. If we are throwing our money in the sense that the processing cost will increase tremendously. For example, I say, I have been working on the legacy waste management nowadays, and the total cost comes about rupees 1.51 per kg. So I have been discussing that why not put a tax or a landfill user charges, say 1 rupee 550 paisa per kg, so that at least one person can have to pay some charges. If we can drive a value in the throwing of the waste, I am sure that so many entrepreneurship, so many new things, new ideas will come out automatically. We have not to develop, so that minimum waste goes to landfill, and our environment, whether it is underground water, whether it is air, or whether the landfill or land, becomes less polluted. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. I think to sum it up, yes, zero waste to landfill has to be the vision, and this idea that you're exploring for putting some kind of a cess or charge on disposing of the waste in landfills will definitely open up new opportunities. Some cities have already started the processes of bioremediation, but a lot of cities are yet to do it. So I think this will kind of move them as well. But with this, I will take your leave, and again, thank you so much, sir. And like you say, Swachh Namaskar. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and we will continue to stay connected. And thank you so much for sharing all those insights, which would have not been possible to anyone to learn within just a span of 45 minutes. So thank you so much, sir, for this valuable session and being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.